I was singing Puccini in a wine bar in Alfama when I first saw him watching me from the shadows. It was a Tuesday night in November, rain streaking the windows, maybe 15 people scattered among candlelit tables. Tourists mostly, a few locals nursing cheap Vinho Verde. I was singing O mio babino caro a cappella because the piano player had called in sick and the owner, Senor Costa, was too cheap to cancel and refund tickets. The man in the shadows didn't fit. Everyone else was couples and groups, chatting between my songs, taking photos of the azulejo tiles. He sat alone at the back corner table, perfectly still, wearing an expensive dark suit that made him look like he'd walked out of a Milan fashion show into this crumbling Lisbon wine bar. He never looked at his phone, never drank his wine, just watched me with an intensity that made my voice almost falter on the final note. When I finished the song to scattered applause, he stood and walked out. Didn't pay, didn't say anything. Just left me standing there wondering if I'd imagined him. Isabella. Senor Costa came over looking nervous. That man, he left this for you. An envelope, thick paper, expensive. Inside was a business card. Dante Moretti, private music investment, and 2,000 euros in cash. More than I made in a month of wine bar performances. And a note in Italian. You sing like an angel trapped in purgatory. I can give you heaven. Call me. D. I should have thrown it away. Should have recognized that men who leave mysterious cash and cryptic notes in wine bars are never offering anything good. But I was 31 years old and so tired of purgatory. Tired of singing for tourists who talked through my areas. Tired of my apartment in Grassa that smelled like sardines from the restaurant below. Tired of telling my mother in Rome that yes, I was still pursuing my music career. No, nothing had happened yet. Yes, I was eating enough. I'd been in Lisbon for 4 years, running from a failed marriage and a failed career in Italy. I'd studied opera at the conservatory, had dreams of La Scala and the Met, ended up singing backup for a wedding band in Florence until I married the bandleader and discovered he was sleeping with the violinist. Divorce at 27. Dreams shattered, pride destroyed. So I'd run to Portugal where no one knew me, where I could start over, where I could pretend I was choosing this small artistic life instead of having it chosen for me by failure. Now, a stranger was offering me something different. Maybe heaven, probably hell, but definitely not purgatory. I called him the next morning. He answered immediately. Isabella, I knew you'd call. His Italian was northern, Milan or Turin, cultured, confident. Who are you really? Music investors don't leave cash in wine bars. I'm exactly who my card says. I invest in talent. I fund artists I believe in, and after hearing you last night, I believe in you. His voice was warm, compelling. Meet me, for coffee. Let me explain what I can offer. If you're not interested after hearing my proposal, I'll leave you alone. But give me 1 hour of your time. Why me? There are thousands of singers in Europe. Because you have something rare, real emotion in your voice, training combined with soul. Most opera singers are technically perfect but emotionally empty. You're the opposite, all heart, raw feeling, but trapped in venues that don't deserve you. He paused. I can change that, if you're brave enough to let me. We met at a cafe overlooking the Tajo River. Dante looked even more striking in daylight, maybe 40, silver threading his dark hair, sharp features, eyes that missed nothing. Everything about him screamed money and power and danger, disguised as sophistication. He ordered espresso for both of us without asking what I wanted, which should have been a red flag, but somehow felt confident rather than controlling. Tell me about your dreams, he said. Not the practical dreams, the impossible ones. What do you want that you've convinced yourself you can't have? I want to record an album, real studio, real production, classical crossover, opera arias with modern arrangements. I want to tour, not wine bars and wedding halls, concert halls, theaters, places where people actually listen. I stopped myself before saying more. But that takes money I don't have. Connections I don't have. Time I'm running out of. What if I could give you all of that? Money, connections, time. A real album with the best producers in Europe. Marketing, distribution, a tour across major cities. Everything you need to transform from a wine bar singer to an actual artist. In exchange for what? Nothing comes free, especially not from strangers who watch me sing in the dark. In exchange for your loyalty, your trust, your commitment to becoming what I know you can be. He leaned forward. I'm building something, Isabella. A collection of artists, a music empire. I have resources most investors don't, and I want you to be the centerpiece, the voice that legitimizes everything I'm creating. Why does a music investor need legitimizing? Because I have other business interests. Let's say gray area operations that benefit from association with beautiful, successful artists. You help me look respectable. I help you achieve your dreams. It's symbiotic. Gray area operations. You mean you're a criminal? I prefer entrepreneur with diverse investments. But if criminal makes you feel better about your moral high ground while you sing for drunk tourists, then yes, I'm a criminal who wants to make you a star. His smile was sharp. The question is whether your principles are more important than your dreams. I should have walked away. Should have told him I'd rather fail honestly than succeed through blood money. But I looked across the river at Lisbon's hills, at my small life, at another 15 years of wine bars and obscurity stretching ahead. What exactly are you offering? Dante pulled out a contract, a real one, professionally drafted. Exclusive representation for 3 years. I finance everything: recording, production, touring, marketing. You keep 70% of earnings. I take 30. Much better than industry standard. All I ask is that you work with my team exclusively and that you represent my business interests at certain events. Galas, charity functions, places where being seen with a talented, beautiful artist makes me look like a respectable patron of the arts rather than what I actually am. And what are you actually? Someone who moves money for people who need discretion? Someone who has investments in various European industries that aren't entirely legal? Someone powerful enough to make your career happen and dangerous enough that you should be careful about saying no. He said it calmly, like discussing the weather. But, Isabella, I'm also someone who genuinely loves music, who appreciates talent, who wants to create something beautiful even if my methods aren't beautiful. I can give you everything you've wanted. The only question is whether you're strong enough to take it. And if I want to leave after the 3 years, you leave. The contract ends. You'll have built a real career by then, have connections independent of me. I'm not interested in prisoners, Isabella. I'm interested in partnerships with women smart enough to see opportunities when they appear. The contract looked legitimate. The money was real, and Dante was offering me everything I'd killed myself trying to achieve. A real recording, real marketing, a real chance at the career I'd dreamed about since I was a girl in Rome, singing along to Maria Callas records. I signed. Dante's smile when I put pen to paper was triumphant. Welcome to your new life, Angelo mio. I promise you won't regret this. But I already did. The moment the ink dried, I felt something shift, like I'd just sold something I couldn't get back. But I smiled and told myself it would be worth it. Dante moved fast. Within a week, I was in a recording studio in Milan with a producer who'd worked with Andrea Bocelli. Within 2 weeks, I had image consultants, vocal coaches, a manager who actually returned calls. Within a month, we'd recorded 8 tracks. Classical areas reimagined with contemporary production. My voice soaring over electronic beats and orchestral arrangements that made the old songs feel new and urgent. And Dante was there for all of it. Not hovering exactly, but present, watching, making suggestions, treating me like a prized investment he was personally overseeing. He moved me from my Lisbon apartment to a beautiful flat in Milan's Brera district. Put me on a salary so I didn't have to work while recording. Bought me clothes that fit the image we were creating. Elegant, sophisticated, mysterious. "You're not a wine bar singer anymore?" he said during a fitting for promotional photos. "You're an artist. You need to look like one. Carry yourself like one. Believe you deserve the spaces you're entering. This feels like playing dress up. It is, until it becomes real. Fake it until you make it, as Americans say." He adjusted my necklace. Diamonds, real ones, a gift he'd insisted I accept. "You're beautiful, Isabella. But beauty isn't enough in this industry. You need presence, authority, the ability to walk into a room and make everyone believe you belong. That's what I'm teaching you. By controlling what I wear, and how I look. By giving you tools you didn't have, there's a difference. His hand lingered on my shoulder. I'm not your ex-husband. I'm not trying to diminish you. I'm trying to elevate you. Learn to trust the difference. The album released in spring. Eternal Aria by Isabella Rossi, my mother's maiden name, chosen for its lyrical quality. Dante's marketing team pushed it everywhere. Streaming platforms featured it, classical radio played the singles, fashion magazines did profiles, and somehow, impossibly, people listened. The reviews were good, great even. Critics called it a stunning reimagining of classical vocals for modern audiences. Haunting and beautiful. The voice you've been waiting for. We sold 50,000 copies in the first month. Unheard of for classical crossover from an unknown artist. Dante claimed it was natural momentum. I suspected he'd bought some of those sales, paid for playlist placement, bribed critics. But I didn't ask because I didn't want to know. The tour came next. 20 cities across Europe over 3 months. Small concert halls at first, 500 seats, intimate. But as the album kept selling, the venues grew. 1,000-seat theaters, 1,500-seat auditoriums, places I'd dreamed about singing but never thought I'd actually see from the stage side. Dante came to every show, sat in a private box, watching. After each performance, he'd come backstage with notes, where I'd been too careful, where I could have taken more risks, how to own the stage better. Sometimes I hated his critiques, but he was always right, and I got better. In Frankfurt, after a particularly good show, he took me to dinner at an exclusive restaurant. Champagne that cost more than my first car. Food I couldn't pronounce. "You're becoming what I knew you could be," he said. "Every show is stronger, every performance more confident. You're not pretending to be a star anymore. You actually are one. Thanks to you, none of this would exist without your money and connections. My resources gave you opportunity. Your talent made it real. Don't minimize your role." He poured more champagne. "There's something I need to tell you about next steps." "What next steps?" "I'm submitting you for Grammy consideration. Best Classical Solo Vocal Album. You have a real shot at a nomination." My heart stopped. "The Grammys. That's impossible. I've been recording for 6 months. No one wins a Grammy their first year." "People with my kind of support do." He leaned forward. "I've been building relationships with Recording Academy members, making donations to the right charities, ensuring the right people hear your album. You'll be nominated, and with the right campaign, you could win." "Dante, that's legal. Aggressive marketing and relationship building, nothing more. The Academy frowns on blatant bribery but appreciates generous patrons. I'm being a generous patron, to you, to the industry. And in return, you'll get the legitimacy that comes with a Grammy nomination." "Why? Why does my winning a Grammy matter so much to you?" "Because when you win, and you will win, I'll be the man who discovered you, funded you, created you. It proves I'm not just a criminal moving money. I'm a creator of culture, a patron of the arts. It legitimizes everything I do." His voice was intense, almost frightening. "You're going to make me respectable, Angelo mio. You're going to be my masterpiece." The possessiveness in his voice made my skin crawl, but I smiled and nodded because I was in too deep to object. The Grammy nomination came in November, Best Classical Solo Vocal Album for Eternal Aria. I was the only newcomer nominated among established legends. It was unbelievable, suspicious, obviously Dante's influence, but it was also real. My name on the Grammy nomination list. My album recognized, my voice mattering. Dante threw a celebration at his villa outside Milan. Massive place, all glass and marble and art that probably cost more than most people's houses. I'd been there before for meetings, but this was different. This was a party. Dozens of people I didn't know, all connected to Dante's various operations, celebrating my nomination like it was their victory too. "It is our victory," Dante said when I mentioned feeling strange about it. "You're part of the family now. Your success is everyone's success. Your Grammy nomination legitimizes all of us." "The family. What does that mean exactly?" "It means the people who support my operations, who move my money, who handle my business across Europe. They're all invested in you now, in your career, in protecting you, which means you're also invested in them, in us, in staying loyal. I signed a contract for music management, not for joining a crime family. The distinction is less clear than you'd like to believe. He took my arm, not gently. You've benefited from resources that came from illegal operations. Your album was funded with money I made from activities that would put me in prison, if proven. Your tour was booked using connections I built through violence and intimidation. Your Grammy nomination was bought with bribes I orchestrated. You don't get to pretend you're innocent while enjoying the benefits. I didn't know the details. You knew enough. You knew I was a criminal. You chose to take my offer anyway. That makes you complicit, Angelo mio. That makes you mine. The way he said mine made me want to run. But I was surrounded by his people, in his house, living in his apartment, funded by his money. I was trapped and hadn't realized it until that moment. I pulled my arm free. The contract ends in 2 years. Then I'm done. I'll find legitimate management. I'll pay you back if necessary. But I'm not your possession. We'll see. His smile was cold. People say that. They think they can leave, but they never do. Because by the time they want to go, they're in too deep. They know too much. They've benefited too much. And walking away means losing everything. Career, money, maybe even their lives. So they stay, and they learn to be grateful. Are you threatening me? I'm explaining reality. Now come. People want to congratulate you. Smile. Be gracious. Play your role. I played my role, smiled. Accepted congratulations from people whose hands were probably bloodier than Dante's. Drank too much trying to numb the growing horror of what I'd gotten myself into. Later that night, alone in the guest room Dante insisted I use instead of going home, I called my mother in Rome. Mama, I think I made a terrible mistake. With the music, finally. I always said you should give up that dream and find a real job. Not with music, with the man managing my career. Dante, he's not just a manager. He's dangerous, criminal, and I think I'm trapped. Silence. Then, Isabella, what have you done? I signed a contract, took his money, let him build my career. And now he says I can't leave, that I'm complicit in his operations, that I know too much. Then you come home, right now, tonight. You leave Milan and come to Rome and we figure this out together. I can't. I stopped. Mama, I'm scared. I'm actually scared, and I don't know what to do. Listen to me carefully, figlia mia. Men like this, they don't let go. They own you until you're no use to them or until you're dead. You need to disappear. Change your name, leave Europe, start over somewhere he can't reach. That means giving up music, the Grammy nomination, everything I've built. What good is a Grammy if you're dead or imprisoned or worse? Her voice broke. Please, Isabella, come home. Let me help you. I'll think about it. I promise. I love you, Mama. I hung up and stared at my phone, thinking about running, about disappearing, about throwing away everything I'd worked for to escape a monster disguised as a benefactor. But I also thought about the Grammys in 3 months, about the possibility of winning, about achieving something I'd dreamed about my entire life, about whether I could survive Dante long enough to get there. The next morning, Dante's assistant told me we were flying to Los Angeles for Grammy campaign events, meeting with Academy members, performances for key voters, playing the game to ensure victory. Is this required? I asked Dante when he arrived to pick me up. If you want to win, yes. The nomination was just the first step. Now we campaign. Make the right. People fall in love with you. Convince them you deserve the award. He looked at me. You seem tired, stressed. Are you having second thoughts about our arrangement? I'm having thoughts about a lot of things. Well, stop. Thinking too much causes problems. Just trust me. Do what I tell you. And in 3 months, you'll be a Grammy winner. Isn't that what you wanted? Not like this. There is no other way. Not for someone who started where you did. Every successful artist has compromises in their past. You're no different. You just know the details of yours. He opened the car door. Now get in. We have a plane to catch. I got in. Because I didn't know what else to do. Because running felt impossible. Because part of me still wanted that Grammy despite everything. Los Angeles was a blur of meetings and performances and polished lies. Dante had arranged intimate shows for Academy voters, living room concerts for wealthy members, private performances at industry parties. I sang my heart out for people who held my fate in their hands, knowing every note was funded by blood money and criminal operations. And I met other artists Dante managed, 3 in total: a Spanish guitarist, a Portuguese fado singer, a French cellist. All talented, all trapped the same way I was, all too scared or too invested to leave. The fado singer, Mariana, pulled me aside one night after a showcase. "You're thinking about running. I can see it on your face." "How did you know?" "Because I had the same look 6 months after signing with Dante. I thought I could just finish my contract and disappear. But then he involved me in things. Made me carry money across borders in my instrument cases. Made me deliver messages to his associates in different cities. Made me complicit until I was too dirty to report him without destroying myself." Her eyes were hollow. "Now I'm here 4 years later, still performing, still trapped, still pretending this is what I chose." "Did anyone try to leave?" "One person, a singer named Giulia. She went to police in Rome, tried to expose Dante's operations. They found her body in Lake Como 3 weeks later. Made it look like suicide, but we all knew." Mariana gripped my arm. "Don't try to leave, Isabella. Don't try to expose him. Just do your 3 years, keep your head down, and pray he lets you go when the contract ends." "You don't think he will?" "I think men like Dante don't release assets. They use them until they're worthless. And you're his masterpiece, his proof that he's more than a criminal. He'll never let you go." I went back to my hotel room that night and cried until I couldn't breathe. Called my mother again, told her I loved her, didn't tell her I thought I might die in Los Angeles or Milan or wherever Dante decided I'd outlived my usefulness. The Grammy campaign continued. 2 more months of performances and meetings and smiling until my face hurt. Dante watched everything, controlled everything, reminded me constantly that my success was his creation. We were at a pre-Grammy gala when I met someone who changed everything. A music journalist named Sophia Chen, who wrote for major publications and, I'd later learn, was secretly investigating corruption in the music industry. She cornered me at the bar. "Isabella Rosie, your rise has been meteoric, almost suspiciously fast. How does an unknown wine bar singer get a major album, successful tour, and Grammy nomination in less than a year? Hard work, good management, luck. And Dante Moretti's extensive criminal connections." She said it quietly, watching my reaction. "I've been investigating him for 2 years. Money laundering through music production, using artists as fronts for illegal operations, intimidation, violence against people who try to leave or expose him. You're not his first artist, but you're his biggest investment. His masterpiece, as he calls you." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do. I can see it in your eyes. You're terrified of him, and you should be. But Isabella, I can help you. I have contacts with law enforcement across Europe and the US. If you testify about what you've seen, what you know, they can protect you. Get you away from Dante safely. If I testify, I lose my career, the Grammy nomination, everything I've worked for. If you don't testify, you'll spend the rest of your life owned by a criminal. Or end up like Giulia, dead in a lake. Which sounds better." "Who's Giulia?" "Another one of Dante's artists. Tried to leave. Died under suspicious circumstances. There have been others. You won't be the last unless someone stops him." She gave me her card. I took it with shaking hands, saw Dante watching from across the room. He'd seen me talking to Sophia, seen the card exchange. When she left, he came over. "Who was that?" "A journalist. Wanted a quote about the nomination." "What did she ask about?" "My background, my rise, normal press questions." "And what did you tell her?" "Nothing. That I'm grateful for my opportunities. That I'm excited about the Grammys." I met his eyes. "Why? Is there something you don't want me saying?" "I don't want you talking to journalists without my approval. They twist words, create scandals, damage reputations. From now on, all press goes through my team. Understood?" "You can't control every conversation I have?" Watch me. He took my arm, too tight. You're valuable to me, Angelo mio, which means you're also vulnerable. People will try to use you against me, try to get information, try to turn you, and I can't let that happen. So from now on, you're more protected, more supervised, for your own safety, of course. That sounds like house arrest. It sounds like keeping my investment secure. He pulled me closer, his mouth near my ear. I know you're thinking about leaving, about running, about exposing me. Don't. The cost is higher than you can imagine, and I always collect what I'm owed. That night, back at my hotel, I called Sophia. I want out. I'll testify. I'll tell you everything. Just get me away from him. She arrived within an hour with 2 FBI agents who specialized in international organized crime. I told them everything. The contract, the money laundering, the other artists, Julia's death, the Grammy campaign, all of it. They recorded it, said they'd been building a case against Dante for 3 years. My testimony was the missing piece. We can put you in protective custody immediately, the lead agent said. Get you out of Los Angeles before Dante knows you've talked to us. We'll coordinate with Italian authorities for arrests across Europe, but you need to come with us right now. What about the Grammys? They're in 5 days. You'll have to miss them. I'm sorry, but your life is more important than an award ceremony. No. Everyone looked at me. I'm going to the Grammys. I'm going to sit in that audience. And if Dante tries anything public, you'll have witnesses, cameras, proof. Use it. That's incredibly dangerous. So is running and hiding for the rest of my life. I want to show him I'm not afraid. I want to watch his face when he realizes I'm not his anymore. I looked at them. Will you protect me? At the ceremony. After. Can you do that? They agreed reluctantly, set up security, wired me with recording devices, planned to arrest Dante the moment I was safely out of the venue. But they underestimated how closely Dante watched me. The day before the Grammys, I was moved to a safe house in the Hollywood Hills under FBI protection. But somehow Dante found me, showed up at the safe house with 6 armed men and killed both agents protecting me before I even understood what was happening. He dragged me out of the house, into a car, drove to a private airfield where a jet was waiting. By the time I understood what was happening, we were airborne, leaving American jurisdiction, heading back to Europe where Dante's power was absolute. In the plane, Dante sat across from me with cold fury. You tried to betray me. After everything I gave you, after everything I created for you, you went to the FBI. You were going to destroy me. You were never going to let me go. The contract was just pretty words covering slavery. I gave you everything you'd ever wanted, made you a star, got you a Grammy nomination, and you repaid me with treachery. He leaned forward. Did you really think the FBI could protect you? That you could testify and disappear, and I'd just accept it? I have reach you can't imagine, Angelo mio, and now you're going to learn what happens to people who try to leave me. Where are you taking me? Somewhere safe. Somewhere I can keep you while I clean up the mess you made. Then we'll see whether you're still useful or whether you've become a liability I need to eliminate. We landed at a private airstrip outside Milan. He took me to a compound in the countryside. Beautiful, but isolated, surrounded by guards, impossible to escape. Locked me in a bedroom that was comfortable, but clearly a prison. For 3 days, I heard nothing. Just guards bringing food, checking on me, making sure I wasn't trying to escape. Then Dante returned. Your testimony didn't matter. I have lawyers. I have connections. The Italian authorities can't touch me without more evidence than one singer's word, and the FBI has no jurisdiction here. So you failed, Isabella. You tried to destroy me and achieved nothing except making me very angry. Then kill me, because I'll never stop trying to escape, never stop trying to expose you. Kill you? No, Angelo mio, that would be wasteful. You're still valuable, still talented, still useful. You just need to be reminded of your place. He pulled out his phone, played a video. My mother in Rome, walking to market, followed by men I didn't recognize. Your family remains safe as long as you cooperate, as long as you remember that your actions have consequences for people you love. Don't hurt them, please. They have nothing to do with this. Then stop fighting me. Accept your situation. You belong to me. You'll sing when I tell you. You'll perform where I tell you. You'll smile for cameras and pretend you're grateful. And maybe, after you've proven yourself loyal again, I'll loosen the chains. But Isabella? He gripped my face. You'll never be free. The moment you signed that contract, your life became mine. The sooner you accept that, the easier this becomes. He left me alone again. Days turned into weeks. I was allowed to sing. He had a piano brought to my room, said I needed to keep my voice trained. But I couldn't leave, couldn't call anyone, couldn't access internet or news. I was completely isolated. Sophia Chen's article published 3 weeks into my captivity. I learned about it when Dante brought me a printed copy, threw it on my bed. The headline, "The Criminal Behind the Grammys, How Dante Moretti Built an Empire on Blood Money and Stolen Voices." It detailed everything: the money laundering, the intimidation, Julia's death, my kidnapping from FBI custody, my current imprisonment. It named names, provided evidence, called for investigation. "Your journalist friend has been thorough," Dante said. "Too thorough? She'll need to be dealt with. But first," he pulled out a laptop, showed me news coverage. Interpol had issued warrants for his arrest. Italian authorities had frozen his assets. Several of his associates had been arrested across Europe. "Your testimony started this. That article finished it. You've destroyed everything I built." "Good." He hit me, hard enough that I fell, tasted blood. "Nothing about this is good. I'm ruined, wanted, hunted, and it's your fault. So now you're going to help me rebuild, or you're going to watch everyone you love die before I kill you. Choose." "I'll never help you. We'll see how long that lasts." He kept me prisoner for 2 more months. I sang when he demanded, recorded tracks he could use to maintain his music business facade. Appeared in videos claiming I'd been on vacation, not kidnapped, that the media was lying about Dante, that our relationship was purely professional. But I also planned, watched guard rotations, memorized layouts, found weaknesses in the compound's security, and waited for opportunity. It came when Dante had to leave for an emergency meeting with associates in Switzerland. He took most of his guards, left only 3 behind to watch me. I waited until night, used a wire I'd pulled from the piano to pick the lock on my bedroom door, a skill my ex-husband had taught me years ago during our brief rebellious phase. Slipped downstairs, found the kitchen, found a knife. I wasn't a killer, but I was desperate. The guard outside the kitchen door never saw me coming. I stabbed him in the neck, crying while I did it, apologizing while he died. Took his gun, his phone, his keys, ran. Through the compound, out a side gate, into Italian countryside under a moonless sky. Ran until my lungs burned and my legs gave out. Then kept running because stopping meant Dante catching me, meant death or worse. I found a road, flagged down a truck. The driver was an old man who took one look at my bloody clothes and terrified face and called the police. Within an hour, I was in protective custody. Within 2 hours, I was talking to Interpol agents. Within a day, I was giving testimony that would finally bring down Dante's empire completely. The trials took 2 years. Dante fought extradition from Switzerland where he'd fled, but eventually they brought him back to Italy to face charges. I testified multiple times about the coercion, the murder, the kidnapping, the money laundering, all of it. Other artists came forward. Sophia's investigation provided documentation. The case was airtight. Dante was convicted on 14 counts, sentenced to 35 years in an Italian prison. No possibility of parole. His empire dismantled, his assets seized, his name destroyed. I never sang professionally again. The trauma was too deep. My voice still worked, but the joy was gone, replaced by association with darkness and captivity and blood. I moved back to Rome, live quietly, work in my mother's bookshop, attend therapy twice a week, try to rebuild a person from the wreckage Dante made of me. The Grammy I was nominated for, someone else won. I watched the ceremony from my mother's living room, crying for what could have been if I'd just stayed in that wine bar in Lisbon. If I'd never called Dante. If I'd chosen small artistic life over impossible dreams funded by monsters. But I also know I survived, escaped, helped destroy a criminal empire. saved other artists from the fate I suffered. That has to mean something. Sometimes I sing, quietly, to myself, the arias I used to love. My voice echoes differently now, haunted by knowledge I can't unknow. But it's mine again. Finally, completely, worth more than any Grammy. 5 years after Dante's conviction, I received a letter forwarded through my lawyer. From him, from prison. Angelo mio, I think about you constantly, about your voice, about the masterpiece we could have created together if you hadn't betrayed me. I'll be here for 30 years, but I'm patient. And when I get out, I'll find you. We'll finish what we started. You'll always be mine. D. I burned the letter. Changed my name legally, moved to a city I won't name, started over again, 4th time now, hopefully the last. And I live with it. With the fear that Dante's threat isn't empty, with the knowledge that 30 years isn't forever, with the fact that I'll probably never feel completely safe. But I also live with pride, with the knowledge that I fought back, that I survived, that I chose freedom over fame and safety over dreams. The Grammys don't matter anymore. The music career I lost doesn't matter. What matters is that I'm alive, unowned, myself. That's worth everything, even if it cost me everything to get it. Thank you so much for listening to this story. If you enjoyed Isabella's harrowing journey from wine bar singer to Grammy nominee to prisoner fighting for freedom, please hit that like button and let me know in the comments. Would you have signed that contract for your dream career? Or would you have stayed safely in obscurity? I love hearing your thoughts on these impossible choices where ambition collides with danger. If you're new here, consider subscribing because I post stories like this every day, exploring what happens when people chase their dreams and discover the true cost of success. Drop a comment with what kind of story you'd like to hear next. Maybe another music industry thriller or something completely different. Your suggestions help shape what I create. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.